Start recording. Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's ODTN use case team. Um, Thanks for joining. As usual, the call is recorded and will probably be published on YouTube. I made a little mistake last time when I uploaded to the ODTN to the ONOS TST. I just moved it to the ODTN track. So again, when I've connect, the content has been finalized. This time also with the updated time for the Stratum capabilities. This is 5 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Wednesday, meaning that anybody who is interested in both ODTN but ODTN implementation on top of Stratum on the Cassini box can also attend this and then attend our ODTN track, which is on Thursday, September the 12th, and it contains everything related to the 7 talks related to ODTN that we will have. So yeah, the general schedule for ONF Connect is here. There's going to be much more content, but this is just the final update on the ODTN track schedule. So this is the 8 talks that we have accepted, and that's there. Any questions on ONF Connect? No? Okay. Thanks. I hope you guys can come and we can see each other. Then let me take a look at the Jira stories that we've been working on. So I want to thanks the people at Sterlite. We will get an update on their patch, but for creating the modulation behavior interface, that is, I consider it to be done. Obviously, in that patch, there is an update also on 7979 and a little bit around 810, but it's not there yet. There's also been work happening on different fronts around different patches that have been discussed / merged. So there's one update from Booyan that does a small fix, which is actually a big improvement, to disable set power on non-power programmable ports, meaning on ports that are just on the client side. So in ports that are not OCH ports. So this is a small change in the RODUM UI that we use for tuning the power. That enables us to tune the power only on the ports that have power capabilities. There's also another patch from Alessio, which includes a fix for the Lumentum RODUM Lambda query that basically returns the information of the Lambda according to the device for both the fiber and OMS ports, and this enables us a better and fine-grainer control of the Lumentum RODUM 20 devices, which we plan to use for some of the future demos. We'll mainly I'll talk about it a little bit later. Then there is another patch that Alessio merged that basically brings the RODUM app UI in line with the intent subsystem, meaning that now both of them actually send down the same exact flow rule. And this allows us to use them in with the same set of drivers. So that was a very, very small fix, but actually a very important one. Means it adds an OCH signal in the treatment. And that enables us really to pick and choose. If we just want to program one device with one wavelength, we can do it with this. Instead, if we want an end-to-end orchestration, we can do it with the intent subsystem. So that's another huge fix from Alessio. Thanks for that. Something else that Booyan is working on is a power configuration command. He's enhancing the power configuration command to tune the power of the different ports. And he's including also an optical port completer. At this point in time, the connect point completer is being modified, but I've discussed it with Booyan. He's going to introduce an optical connect point completer that just enables you completion, automatic completion on the ONOS CLI of optical port IDs, and then we can use the CLI to tune the power on those ports. So that's pretty cool. And I think there will be some documentation on this from Buoyan coming up pretty soon, in order for us to tune power So that's pretty good. It's another change that's coming on. So that's good news. Any questions? Any thoughts? Okay. Then let me go back to the agenda. You also want to take a look at the modulation patch from Sterlite. I would encourage Sterlite folks to give us an overview of the patch. I did some comments on it, and I think they're waiting changes from the Sterlite team. But the whole point is actually this is a very good patch. It introduces what we call a behavior in ONOS, which is this modulation configuration behavior that enables you to set and get a modulation scheme based on for a port. And so this is a common API that then it's used for setting and getting that modulation through a web resource. It's created basically a REST API that adds the modulation configuration to the ONOS REST APIs, and so we are capable of targeting a modulation change with a specific bit rate through the REST API. So that's pretty good change. I think it's very interesting. And then it got implemented, because this is just the structure to do it. But then there is one implementation against the Cassini modulation config. There's some formatting issues, but there's really nothing, not that much. The whole point here is that this is against the modified Yang schema that we will talk about later. But we can also do one for other type of devices. We can do it for, let's say, other type of protocols too. It's because it's a behavior implementation, and as a behavior implementation, we have included it in here and tied it to the implementation. But if somebody, let's say Nokia or Radva or others that support a different Yang file or even a different type of device, we can do it there. We can do it for the OLS if we want to change the modulation of the lines, the connectivity service we are requesting. So it's a pretty good change, I think. It's interesting, and so thanks to Sterlite. I also know that they have been modifying a little bit the OpenConfig terminal device and OpenConfig transport types. So Vishnu sent an email with the Yang file to the ODTN mailing list. Vishnu, do you want to talk us a little bit about the change that you made to the device, to the Yang model?
Hello, Andrea.
Hello.
Hi. So I have made like whatever changes be required for the implementation of that modulation configuration. So the main changes which I have made is like the addition of this OSNR, the leaf modulation, and I think one more leaf is there, which is receiver sensitivity. So I have put it in the appropriate groupings so that we can fetch all of these for every single port. So I would like to have some comments and suggestions if any of you guys have.
Okay. So has anybody have any thoughts on this? Any ideas regarding this extension of the OpenConfig models? I know Arturo might have, but he didn't join the call as of now, so he might join later. I will check with him. I know he's also very busy for other things in Telefonica. So, but yeah, I encourage everybody to take a look at this. I think it's a good addition. It's a very simple addition actually, and doesn't really preclude or touch anything else in the system of the OpenConfig terminal device model. So I think it's a value use case. We just need to make sure we do the right path to submit it to OpenConfig itself. Okay. Do you have, Vishnu or Puneet or anybody else? Do you have an update on the changes that I required to the patch?
I think Chetan is there on call. Chetan, can you just provide this detail? So anyways, I think we guys are actually working on it, Andrea, and hopefully actually there is some issue which is there in IntelliJ from our side, and we actually sorted out that thing. So hopefully we will incorporate your points by couple of days, right? And I'll update you on that part.
Okay, sounds good. That's perfect. And I think as soon as those comments are addressed, we might merge this and also add maybe an implementation of the modulation based on some discussion that I was having with IP Infusion, because with IP Infusion for the Cassini device, what they did is instead of extending the Yang model, they went with the proprietary modulation parameter that is currently in the Yang model that just defines a vendor ID for any type of modulation. So I need to discuss with them exactly what the type they are sending down and up, but we might include two type of modulation configuration for Cassini. One with the extension of the OpenConfig, and in order to propose it to the OpenConfig people, and one with just the existing OpenConfig to do progress against the IPI implementation. I need to sync up with the IPI guys in the next few days. And I encourage everybody who wants to include their transponders in future work to work on this too. For example, Quan, if you want to include it in the Nokia device, you will have to implement a Nokia modulation config to enable a change of modulation against your terminal device. Okay, thanks for that. Do you have any, Vishnu or Puneet or anybody, do you have any update on the OSNR code that you guys were working on?
So OSNR one actually, this is not actually available as of now in the TIE support, right? And so we are first of all, need that details from the OSNR sensitivity details from the TIE first, and that is actually what we are planning for actually to put it across then to the OSNR, to the ONOS. So as of now, it's not available. So I think Vishnu is actually working on that. We are working on that, and we'll discuss that thing, right, maybe in other calls.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for that. Do you know if the TIE group is okay with introducing the OSNR parameter, or is that something that they are not okay with?
No, I think it's on. I think I think the NEL team is actually working on it. So they are
okay.
actually introducing that OSNR, and that actually I think in their CFPI unit. So we will actually need to check that. I think we haven't got any confirmation on that piece. So let us check, and then we'll come back to you.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for that. I believe I don't have any update on the ZTE drivers. I didn't have any update from Telefonica on those, so I would still like to have them in ONOS before phase 1.0, but sorry, before releasing on August the 9th the support branch for 2.2. I'll push a little bit stronger with both IPI and ZTE with my contact, with Telefonica and ZTE to put them in. I'll update everybody if there is anything to do on that side. Since Kartik and Lyndon are on the call, can you guys give us an update on the status of TAPI? I know 2.2 has been released and 2.1.2, I think, has been released too. So what's the work that's going on there?
So I'll ask Lyndon to provide the latest update from the TST. So the 2.2 has not been released. It has been submitted to the OTCC TST for approval. So the TST has to approve it, and then it becomes official. The 2.1.2 is a bug fix release, minor release. So that has been released, and it's available from the ON.Lab GitHub for the TAPI. So 2.1.2 was mainly to fix bugs related to photonic. I think like some issues with the photonic data structures, minor ones, which was noticed by Telefonica during their internal activity, and another minor fix that was some topology constraints with read only while it should have been read write. But these are pretty minor. The photonic data structures was more related to, I believe, let me try to recollect some capabilities of the what is really supported by the photonic chips, right? The range of spectrum that is supported by photonic chips. So previously it was a list, it was two lists, so that there was some kind of implied relationship between the elements that occur in that appropriate arrays, right? 1 to 1, like so element that's on zeroth element in array 1 sort of corresponds to the zeroth element on array 2. So instead now we have put a combined data structure in a single list. So it's fairly minor, most of these bug fixes for 2.1.2. Anybody using it can use this 2.1.2. If you're working on 2.1, I would suggest that you go to 2.1.2. Just it cleans up some of these things.
Thanks, Kartik, for the update. Lyndon, is there any update from the TST on 2.2? I believe you're muted, Lyndon, if you're trying to speak. Okay.
Okay. I guess like the deadline to vote is submit your decisions this week, sometime this week, so that we'll know like early next week whether we just tag it as official release.
Okay, awesome. Okay, perfect. Thanks.
And it's kind of an up or down vote. It's not like something that very proposed changes.
Okay.
So either you vote this RC as official or you don't. If you don't, then we go back and do another RC.
Sounds good. Okay, at the same time, again, we have that OpenConfig extension proposal for the power range, which will be probably go and submitted along with the OSNR and modulation changes that we were discussing with Sterlite before. So if anybody has any update on that, I'd like to have any comments there. Regarding ONF Connect, the hardware have been confirmed from Lumentum that we will have these two Rodum 20s available on site. And the integration is going to happen around my time in Santa Clara. And it's Scott or Ken from Lumentum. So that at least we have that physical in location at ONF Connect to have a physical demo, and then we have the connection to the Telefonica lab. Is there any update from the Telefonica lab deployment, Conrad? Any update on that side?
So we are in touch with Arturo. We upgraded their software, and we are in the process of Arturo is testing and he's claiming some issues. So we are on track, basically.
Those issues, are they related to our side, meaning ONOS side, or
No. On our implementation, there was an issue, and Arturo promised to look on it after our fix, and we are waiting for a verification.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Do you have any update on the transponder side? I know there was some work done from Jacob on the transponder side.
Yes. But as I told last week, Jakub will be on vacation till the end of this week. So unfortunately, we will continue on Monday.
Okay, yeah, that's fine by me. Is it 26th? I forgot. Whatever.
Jakub will be back on 29th.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I will follow up with him. Okay, thanks. Juan, is there any update with your discussion from Victor about using your transponders in the Telefonica lab too?
Yeah. So I just had a discussion with our NOCO support team in Madrid.
Okay.
So basically, I'm trying to get the transponder at Telefonica lab at beginning or mid of August.
Okay, thanks for that.
Yeah. So but basically, I'm still waiting for the confirm from the NOCO team.
Okay, that's good. Thanks for that. I'll be happy to have your guys in there too. So that's good. I have no update on the Infinera platform. So let me remove this actually. And no update on the Juniper stuff, since we decided with Kevin that it was not feasible to include them as of last time. So I think there is nothing on that side. On the ONOS side, I think the testing has been going on, and the augmentation that you have seen. As soon as we gain access to the Telefonica lab, as soon as set up with the transponders and the open line system, we'll try and deploy ONOS as we did last time and test it out. If anybody is interested in participating, just let me know, and I think I can include you guys in the discussions we're having for this testbed, and also for the testbed at ONF Connect physically, which is the edge core Cassini momentum transponders. The momentum modem, sorry. Okay. I think there is no real update on GNPI. Unfortunately, my time is limited and I have not followed up on this. Might send an email to Gert and the Polytechnic of Turin to achieve an update from their side. From the rest, power configuration slides are still there. Nothing really major to do them. We have now capability to do configure power on single transponders. We have not implemented the workflow with the open line system yet.
Andrea?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Karthik. Just sorry to interrupt. On the GNPY, there's a last bullet point on TAPI for GNPY.
Yes.
And could you just give me some update on what it is and anything expected from TAPI side?
So the idea was really that so GNPI is this planning tool that has an internal notion of devices links with optical impairments, and the idea was to use TAPI to give the topology that ONOS has with all those optical impairments to GNPY, in order for then it to give back to ONOS a possible connectivity service, and then ONOS install it to the different devices, such as the open line system. The idea is really that we want to offload the path computation and the optical impairment evaluation to GMPY. And obviously the idea would be to do it via TAPI. There is at the moment, I think, a somewhat a somewhat custom REST API that Orange did. If you want to take a look under the repos of TIP, I think it's under there.
Okay.
And the idea is, to move this custom API at some point in time, whenever we get the time to do it, to TAPI in order to expose really computation, optical impairment validation, and this path computation engine that GMPY has to achieve the best optical path given a set of devices, links, and optical impairments, and then pass it down to ONOS. Basically offloading from ONOS all that heavy lifting that has to be done and is already done in GMPY for achieving the best path for connectivity. Does that give you a...
Okay. Yeah, it does. So who is the main person here? Is it Gert or Kevin?
So there's a few people. There's Gert Grammel from Gert Grammel and Kevin Jones from Juniper. There's a few people from Orange. I have to remember the names. I had a discussion with them a few times. And then there is Vittorio Curi from Polytechnic of Turin. He's also very involved in that. I think you can find all these names if you go under the GMPY project in GitHub. They have a public repo. You can find all the information on what it is. The extension that I was talking about to compute the optimal path is under some unmerged patch or under the Orange repo. I don't know.
Okay.
Because GMPY itself gives you 1 over the OSNR of every path. It doesn't pick one. It just tells you the value of 1 over the optical signal to noise ratio. Then you would have to pick the best out of those and report it. Okay, so that's kind of what the Orange component does. By itself, GMPY does not have capability to pick the best path. It just gives you a value of 1 over the signal to noise ratio. That's it. To give you an overview of what it is.
Yeah.
If you want, I can definitely make the introduction. The problem has been that it's an interesting work. The problem is that nobody really has time to put effort in it. So at least from my side, I have not the time to put engineering resources to integrate this with ONOS at the moment to do computation of the intents, basically. So that's kind of the state at the moment.
I got a good. Thanks. Yeah. Okay, I'll just get in touch with them to see if they have any recommendations for TAPI or whether they need some idea of how to use it. So, okay. I mean, I was more interested from that. I mean, because when it's a TAPI for GNPI, definitely there's going to be some issues they will encounter one way or the other.
Oh, absolutely.
Some might result in enhancement of TAPI. Some might be more like clarification of how you expected to use something. Okay, thanks. Yeah.
No problem. Puneet, you had some point?
Yeah. So what I'm saying, the TAPI you're expecting, GNPY tool is expecting from several things like technology and optical impairment. What are those things it requires to this over different levels?
Puneet, it's very hard to hear you. Can you repeat your question, please? Your connection was breaking up a little bit.
I can't make out. Maybe it's better to take it offline and use email.
Sure. Yeah, I think we have to do that because I couldn't hear Puneet at all. So I'll make a note for him here to share his thoughts about what he was saying. Okay. Yeah, and if we get effort, I'll be very happy to see this happening because it's an interesting thing. And also standardizing the API of this component means that you can mix and match it with other things. Okay. Any other questions on this point?
No, nothing else from me.
Okay. Thanks. ONOS next generation config update. That's you guys can go and read the documentation on the repo. There's a lot of updates. We'll show a demo during ONF Connect of configuring some Stratum devices, so it's shaping up very well. I think we have a TST in like 2 days tomorrow to give an update on that. So if anybody's interested, just connect to that. And I think that's about it on my side. I don't know if there is any update or any questions or anything that you guys wanted to discuss.
Hi, Andrea, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly fine.
Yeah, so Chetan this side. So for the modulation code from Sterlite, so we were waiting for comments on our code. So we have received your comments for the same, but are others also going to comment, or we have to like deliver it?
So I mean it's public, so everybody that wants to comment can comment on it. I'll ask a few people to take a look at it, especially ones that I know that are knowledgeable about the ONOS infrastructure. I'll ask them to give a review. I'll include you guys in the email where I ask this review, so you guys are up to date on that. If in the meantime you can address my comments, if that is not a problem, I think this can be an iterative process.
Sure. We are working on the comments that you provided, and others like the build issues were also there, so we are working on that. We are facing like bit of ID problems there, so we'll solve that and then incorporate your comments for now, and then wait for others to comment, and you can include us in the emails that you are going to send out.
Okay, yeah, sounds good to me. Perfect, thanks for that. Do you want me to, is there anything else that you guys want to discuss? Any other update, any other point?
So, entry at this. Sorry, actually my connection got broken up last time.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually talking to you on regards to the GNP. Yeah,
Yes.
I was actually want to know something on the GNPY tool. So on the GNPY, you were saying that GNPY requires some sort of information from the TAPI in order to compute the OSNR at different levels, and those are basically the topology and some optical impairment detail, right?
Yes. Yes.
So can you just actually help us to understand like what all optical impairment detail which GNPY tool will require from TAPI in order to calculate that GOSNR?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think you can take a look. There is an example of what they want, because at the moment you can populate GMPY with a JSON file or a CSV spreadsheet because it's done offline, so they don't really care about performance and they don't really care about an API. So they have in there. I can put a link. Here. The idea is that what they want is like the type of amplifier, the type of fiber, what type of loss is in the fiber, what type of loss is in the amplifier, what type of like other elements that contribute to the end-to-end optical channel performance. Again, such as what is the wavelength that this can carry, what is the power, so stuff like this. I can definitely send you that are channel independent, meaning that the device supports. So I can send you the details about it.
Okay, and then and all these informations, they are expecting that TAPI to fulfill that, is it?
The idea is that yes, if TAPI can, we would be definitely happy to include them, and I would also definitely would like to review these with Kartik and the TAPI team to see what they also think it's valuable from TAPI to propose to support. Because if there is something that is not really valuable from TAPI to support, we might look at others to extend this capability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, right, correct. Okay, sure. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks.
the example link would be useful just for us to even look at the TAPI, right?
Okay.
When I was looking, okay.
Sounds good. Yeah, I'll put it here, and I'll send it out on a mailing list to everybody, so you guys can take a look at it and provide any comments. I think Gert and the team will be very happy to hear about this, and I'll include in the same email Vittorio and the rest of the team from Polytechnic of Turin, so we can see the diff basically of this point. Okay. Thanks. Okay. Anything else that you guys want to discuss today? Okay. If not, I'll send you guys an update with these few things that we discussed, especially this link, and also I'll send a request to the ONOS people to give a review on the Sterlite code. And I'll talk to everybody on the email and then next week. Thanks for joining. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.